Hello and welcome. My name is Sanjin Dedic. I am a robotics engineer and an educator in the field of digital technologies. I have been teaching Python for the past 5 years. I absolutely love this programming language and I am quite an expert at teaching its fundamentals. Why Python? Let's talk a little bit about what makes Python so important and interesting. Well, first of all, for the past 19 years, the Python community has focused on this idea of computer programming for everybody. They made Python as easy to read code-wise as possible, and consequently, as a student, it's easy to learn. As a teacher, Python is the only general-purpose programming language in the world that I would even attempt to teach to a 10-year-old. Next, Python is radically simplified. The idea here is you do more with less. So you have features like dynamic typing. In a program, you might have a variable, x, it's set to 10. You don't have to declare it as an integer, it automatically is set to an integer. Down the line in the program, it might change, so your x could become a float, 2.73. By the time you finish the program, you're printing it out, now x is a string. So Python supports this with no issues whatsoever. When it comes to data types like string, lists, dictionaries, Python is pretty awesome. For instance, with strings and lists, you can loop through them without using an index. And when it comes to all three, you've got fantastic built-in functions, which basically mean that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. All of the familiar problems have already been solved by the community and built into Python. When it comes to object-oriented programming, Python's rather different. It in a sense breaks a lot of rules. It's very flexible. You do not have to use getters and setters, and by default, the attributes inside a class are not private. Next, Python is a very multi-purpose programming language. It's very rare to have one language lead the line in multiple areas like back-end web development, data science, statistical analysis, and what scientists do in labs, and machine learning and artificial intelligence. When it comes to its applications in the industry, Python is a favorite of a lot of notable global companies like Google, YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, Dropbox, Reddit. And NASA loves Python for its abilities to do data analysis. Finally, the community. Python is a very, very popular language, the second most popular language on GitHub. And when it comes to answering questions and you're Googling problems in Python, Stack Overflow has surpassed 1 million questions answered, which means in terms of you being stuck in a programming situation, if you're Googling a way to solve it, you're much better off being stuck in Python than most other programming languages. Finally, there are some awesome libraries. I could talk about those at length, but some that you should check out are NLTK, SciPy, NumPy, Scikit-learn, and TensorFlow. So what other similar solutions or tools are out there, and why is Python better? Well, there are plenty of fantastic programming languages in the world, but they all have relatively narrow specialties. So, for instance, if you want to build very large applications in teams of developers, like a video game or an operating system, you would probably use something like Java or C++. If you want to focus solely on web development, you could learn Ruby or JavaScript. For straight up data science, especially like in the financial industry, you could use a programming language called R. But Python is the only programming language that I'm aware of that can do very useful things in all three of those categories. How can Python help developers? So many ways, I'll just mention 3. 1, it can help you bring data analysis to a company. Most companies, really good at gathering data, not so good at analyzing it. Python provides you with the tools to do just that. 2, build prototype programs. These are really awesome in terms of having something to show a customer, a client, or useful for companies to get feedback on projects that are going to be much bigger. Python does that way easier than any other programming language. Last, freelance opportunities. Python projects are generally smaller in scope. This means plenty of opportunities for freelance work and also remote work, which makes for a nice lifestyle. 3 myths about Python. Number 1, Python is a toy language. This might have been true at some point, given that Python was designed for simplicity, not efficiency. But Python evolved, and it's still evolving, and today it is the programming language of choice for cutting-edge fields like machine learning and artificial intelligence. Myth 2. Python is slow. Well, it is an interpreted and not a compiled programming language, so it's not so fast in its default state, but there are plenty of Python implementations that are actually compiled, which you can use. 3. Python is not in high demand in industry. Well, that might also have been true at some point in time, but today it's the second most in-demand programming language after Java, so you shall have no trouble whatsoever finding a job.